a system that can store data, you must first tell the system what data do you want. There's no way you just let it accept any random numbers and any random alphabets in there. It won't make sense and we won't be able to analyze it. So we will need to define and what kind of data do we want and what kind of data that we don't want. This is what data definition means. Okay, the next operation here, we will have DML or data manipulation. Okay, for data manipulation, it means that after you store the data inside the database, okay, we already defined the data. Let's say we already defined the data, and now let's say we are trying to change some data in there because maybe there are errors in there. We use that we are going to be using the same language SQL to change the content of the data. This is what we call data manipulation. If anything that needs changes, we perform manipulation on it. This is why SQL is able to perform DML. Okay. The next one will be data query. Okay. For data query, query means a request. So when we say data query, it's like asking the system to show you the information that you want. Let's say I want to know the customer's information. We perform data query so that we can see all the customer's information depending on what information we want. This is what we call data query. Okay, for the last two, we have data control and transaction control. For data control, sometimes when you have certain partners or certain friends that want to look at your database information, but in that database, you have some information that you don't want to show it to your friend or your partner. This is when we use SQL to set a data control. It restricts, okay, it allows your partner to only be able to look at specific information, and that is why SQL is a very important language when it comes to data security. Okay, now the last one will be transaction control. Okay, for transaction doesn't mean our daily life. I give you money, you give me an item, that kind of transaction. No, for transaction in SQL, it means any changes in your database. So if I perform a data manipulation just now, I change something in the data, it's a transaction control. If I add a new data into the database, it's a transaction as well. So transaction control allows you to save your database or to set a checkpoint to your database. Okay. So if let's say I don't think the data in here is correct, so I want to undo. Okay, I want to undo. We can perform transaction control in there, and this is why and this is how we save our data or we back up our data. Okay, now we are going to be entering the basic SQL concepts. Okay, as you can see from the left hand side here, okay, we have a list of keywords and operators in here. So the first one, okay, refer back to what the operations that we mentioned just now. I'll be covering the top three here. So the first one will be definition, second one will be manipulation, and third one will be query. So this first group, okay, this first group is what we call the keywords for data definition. Okay, we are going to be creating a table in the database. In SQL, we treat every group of information as a table. Okay, these are all data definition language. We use these to define data. Then there are more examples, but these are a few ones from there. Okay, and then the second group, this group is data manipulation. Remember just now when I say we manipulate data or we change contents of the data, we use these keywords to change the data in there. Okay, the third one will be data query. Okay, this group are all keywords that we use for data query when we are trying to request any information that we want. So for this part, I'll guide you afterwards. So we will just skip this particular part for now. And now on the right hand side here, as you can see, we have three groups as well. This first group is what we call the Boolean operator or logic operator. It means that we are trying to remove or to include something that we want or we don't want. We use this to include something that we want or we don't want. And this second group are extra clauses or other operators. Okay, other operators that we use to tell the system that we want specific information only, just like the first group here. Okay. Now the last group, these are all arithmetic operators, which means they are pretty common in mathematics. Okay. For the first row, you will see these are all less than or equal to not equal to. For this one is not equal to, greater than, equal to, and greater than. And these other symbols are all also used for us to get the information that we want. And I'll guide you through all there as well. Okay, now on the right hand side here, this is the relational database. Okay, now the main thing that you need to know about relational database is that when we have a lot of tables in there. Okay, just like I mentioned, we usually treat all these group of information as one table. So let's say we have two tables here, student and course. Okay, now this whole column here, okay, this whole column here, we call them field. Okay, ID is a field, ID is a field, and course ID is another field. ID in the course table is a field, name is another field. Okay, each column represents a field, one type of information. And then we have the horizontal one. These are all rows. Okay, these are all rows. We call them records or record. We call that a row of record. So what it means is that the first row here, this row here tells us that we have a student with ID 001 taking the course MA01. This is a row of record. Okay, when we say that they are relational or they are related, it means that you must in both tables, okay, in both tables, student and course, we need to have one specific field existing in both sides. As you can see here, when you look at the information, you see MA01 is in the student table and MA01 is in the course table as well. So what it means is that if they are related, there must be something that connects them together. And in this case, the course ID is the one that connects student and course. Okay, so both tables that are related, they must have at least one same field. If you have course ID in the student table, you must have course ID in the course table. Okay, so what this arrow implies is that course MA01 that was taken by student 001, as you can see here, exists in both student and course tables. And this is why you see the arrow here. So this is what we call as relational database. Okay. Now we are going to be going into the hands-on session by using Google Colab. So if you want to follow me throughout the session, you can as well. Okay, you can you can type in the link right here, colab.google. Let me send it in the chat. Okay, you can press the hyperlink. I send it there. Okay, and then we will get into the Google Colab right here. And make sure you are logged in. Okay, after you're logged in, you will see a button that allows you to create a new notebook. Okay, click it in there, and it will helps you to create a new notebook for us to enter the codes that we want. Okay, if you are not going to be typing all these codes, it's okay. You can just follow me throughout the demo. It's fine. Okay. For those who are interested, you can create a new notebook for yourself. Okay. I'll give you 1 minute while I set out other things for you. Okay. In the chat box, right, I also send all of you another link. Okay, another link that links you to this particular drive. Okay, as you can see, there are 3 files here: the drop table file, insert data file, and SQL setup file. So for this setup, right, we are going to be using the SQL setup. Okay, copy the codes in here, and then you just paste it in here. Okay, as you can see, there's a code button here. If you click it in, it will help you add another code cell here. Okay, it will helps you add another code cell here. If you want to delete it, you can click the right button here, the bin button here, and it will help you delete it. Okay, we create this code cell so that we can enter the code in here. This is how it works. Okay, now we will be copying the link, copy the codes that we got from SQL setup. Okay, run the SQL setup file first. Okay, and then from here, when we paste it in here, we can run the code. You will see the play button at your left hand side here. Okay, just click it and it will run, and it will try to connect to the server. Okay, what these 3 lines of code does is that they are helping you to install an extension that allows us to do SQL, and then it will help us create a database so that we will save a lot of the time and to do this. Okay, and after that you can just wait until the execution is done. Okay, we will be waiting here for now. Okay, while we are waiting, right? Okay, now you will see another file called insert data.txt. Okay, same thing, we'll be copying the whole code. Okay, there will be a lot. So if you have a computer, just press Ctrl+A, Ctrl+C. Okay, Ctrl+A, Ctrl+C, and then add another code cell. Okay, add another code cell in here, and then paste it in. Okay, paste it in, and you will see a really long code in here from top to bottom, but it's okay. I'll guide you through later on what happened during these lines of code. Okay, so after that, after pasting it inside the code cell, right, same, we will be clicking the play button at the left hand side and let them run the things that we should that they should run. Okay, and if it works, you will see it in the output here, and it will say 1 rows affected. Okay, it means that they have already entered the data in there. Okay, first step, I copy the code from SQL setup so that we can set out a database in SQL. Okay, and then the other one will be to create the database and to include the data in here. Okay. Okay, now after you're done with setting up the database, right, now we are going to check whether the database actually has those information that we entered just now. So by doing this way, we can use the magic command here. Okay, %SQL. Okay, %SQL. This is a magic command that allows us to run SQL code in Google Colab. Okay, if you don't run it, it will say error because the system will thought that this is a Python code, but it's not. So we need to put %SQL. If you want to put %SQL, it will also work, but this only works for 1 line. Okay, this only works for 1 line. So we will put double percent sign, and we can put the SQL line here in the second line. Okay, type in select name from SQLite master. Okay, so when we run the code, you will see all the table names in here. Okay, select name from SQLite master. What it does is that the system tries to get the table names from the database that we created. Okay, SQLite master means the main database in there, all the important information. Name means the table names, and this is how we got new tables here. Okay, we have staff, student, faculty, course, campus course, and campus facility, campus faculty. Sorry. Okay, now after we made sure that all the tables are already created in the database, we will also want to check whether all the data are already in the table, because we don't want to have the table but it's empty in there. So what we need to do, same as well, we need to enter the command, the magic command %SQL, and then we get pragma, okay, pragma table info. Pragma table info, and then let's say we want to check the students table. Okay, we want to check the students table. Same thing, click the play button on your left hand side, pragma table info student. Okay, now after you enter this, the system will show you the fields, okay, the important information that we have in there. Okay, like as you can see here, we have the fields right here. Okay, ID, course ID, ID, and name. These are all the fields. So it tells us how many fields are there, and what are the field names, the data type, and other information. Okay, so just looking at student itself, you can see student ID, first name, last name, email, gender, entry year, campus ID, course ID, attendance rate, and CGPA. Okay, and then these are all the data types that we use for it. We have varchar, integer, and double. Varchar means characters, or yeah, just characters or string. Okay, so anything that is not, they are not numbers, are all varchar, and then the numbers will be either in integer or double. Double means that number has decimal place. Okay. Okay, now after we looked at the information right here, so we now know that the student inside have these information, the fields in here, and now we are going to make sure that all the data, okay, just now, like this whole long list of data are all inside the database already. So the way we can check, we can open another code cell here. Okay, we can open another code cell here, or right here if you want. Okay, same thing, we need to enter the magic command at %% SQL, and then next we are going to be selecting, okay, selecting all the information from student. Okay, just follow me for a bit and I'll guide you through on how we can and use SQL language to get at the information. For now, follow me for now. Okay, select asterisk, okay, asterisk from student. And same thing, click the play button. Okay, this is the whole list of information that we put into the table. So what it means is that our code has nothing wrong. Okay, make sure you run all the codes up here. Okay, if you didn't run the codes up here, it will not work. Okay, press the play button from the first code cell until the code cell that we have right now. Okay, now I'll go through a bit on the relationships between here before we go into the main deal here. Okay, now for this section, we need to understand a bit on how these tables interact with each other. Okay, in data science or in database management, we call them as ERD, entity relationship diagram. So this whole picture here, okay, this whole picture here tells us about how are these tables related to each other, how are these objects related to each other. Okay, I put some notes right here on the left, so you can refer to it if you have the time. But let me just go through with you straight away. Okay, so the student is a table, campus is another table. Okay, student is a table, campus is another table, and we will see these lines. Okay, we will see these lines connected to each other, and then we will see these two straight lines here, and then other weird symbols in here. So what this means is that it's either one and only one, or zero, one, or many. These symbols tells us the relationship between in these two tables, student and campus. Okay, so let's look at the example. Okay, let's look at the example. Look at the first one. When we have the box A, item A, and then it's connected to B, as you can see here. Okay, and then we can see this zero, this symbol here, like a some kind of claw. Okay, what it means is that item A can consist of none, one, or many item B. Okay, item A, when it's related to B with this symbol, it means item A can consist of none, zero, zero, one, or many item B. Okay, so now let's apply it onto campus and student. Okay, look at the right hand side here. Campus and students are connected with this symbol here. Okay, so what it means is that one campus can have none, zero, one, or many students. So one campus can have a lot of students, or it might not have any student. Okay, this is what it means in here. So now let us look at the opposite. Let us look at the opposite side. Okay, this is this is a symbol of two straight lines. What it means is that from the left here, the examples here, item A can consist one and only one item B. Okay, so what it means is that each student can only have only one, okay, one and only one campus. So we cannot have two students, we cannot have one students in two campus. This is what the relationship tells us, okay. I'm not going to be going through the whole diagram here, but uh, from this example, I believe you can understand the other relationships. Okay, yeah, they are all compiled of the same symbols here. Okay, you can see the symbols are all listed here, so you can refer to it afterwards. But for now, we just need to know the relationship between student and campus. Okay. Now, I'm going to be going through the next section, which will be select statement. Okay. Okay. This is select statement. Now, when we are trying to run a data query, okay, when we are trying to request information from the system, we need to first select the information that we want. In SQL, we call it as select statement. Okay. So the basic idea of select statement is that uh, the basic idea of select statement is that we want to know what table to pick, what table has the information that we want. Okay. Afterwards, we need to think what kind of information do we want to look at. Okay. What field to display the information. And afterwards, we will need to look at whether we have a lot of tables to pick from. Okay. So just remember these three keywords: who, which, join. Okay, who, which person, which table that has the information that you want, and then which information do we want to see. Join, do we want to connect a lot of tables, do we have a lot of tables. Okay, this is the basic idea of how we write this statement out, and the format will be something like this: select which which select which information, which field, from, do we have a lot of tables? No. Who? What tables do we want to get from? Okay, this is how we are going to write the select statement. So now let us get back to Google Colab. Okay, now this is what I wrote just now: select asterisk from student. Asterisk here, okay, this symbol here, it means all information. Okay, all information. All information. Okay, now let's say when we look at here, right, let's say I just want to know the student's information. I want to know the student's information only. So let's say I want the first name of the student. Okay, first name. We type in the field's name in here. Remember, select which one, which field to display. So we have the field first name and the field last name. So let's say I just want to know the student's first name and last name. Okay, so we can just type it like this: select first name, last name, and then from. Okay, which table has this information? Okay, which table has this information? If we look back here, okay, we are going to look at student table here. We have student ID, first name, last name, email, gender, entry year, campus ID, and so on until the last one, CGPA. So we want to look for first name and last name here. We do find them in here. So we are going to get the information from student table, right? From student table. So just type in the table's name from student, right? From student. And afterwards, we need to end it with a semicolon. Okay, take note, we need to end it with a semicolon. If not, it will not work. Okay, so now let us just press the play button. Okay, and we run. Okay, now we can see all the first name and last name. All the first name and last name here. The whole list down here. Okay, this is how we request the system to get the information that we want. Okay, now after we got this information, we want to have a specific purpose. Okay, remember what I mentioned just now? We are using SQL to get information that we want so that we can make it into knowledge. Okay, this is our main purpose. So let's say we are a company. Okay, we are a company that we are looking for students and that fulfill the requirement, and we want to get them to work as to work as an intern in our company. Okay, let's say we want to look for students that fulfill the requirement, and we want them to be, we want to know whether these students are suitable to be interns in our company. Okay, when we are looking for interns in the company, we must know what are the information that we want from them. Okay, now let's go back. Okay, let's put back the asterisk here. We want to look at the table itself. Okay, from this whole table, we can see the student ID, first name, last name, email, gender, entry year, and so on. Okay, now think about this. When you're a company hire, when you're trying to hire somebody to work in your company, what are the important features that you will look for? I believe most of us will probably say CGPA. Good. CGPA is one of the features that we want. Okay. CGPA is one of the important feature that we want to know because we don't want students that perform really bad. Okay. We want students that perform out at least at a minimum performance. Okay. That's why we need to know the CGPA. And do we need to know all the information? No. Okay. We don't need to. So we need to know what information do we want. Okay, now you're the HR manager in there. You want to know the students' information. We must know their first name and last name. Okay, we must know their first name and last name, and then we need to know their CGPA. Okay, we need to know their CGPA. So this is how we get first name, last name, and CGPA. Now, do we need to know how often they attend classes in the campus or in the university? Okay, I want you to think about it. Okay, you you want to think whether attendance rate is important when you are trying to look for uh, interns in your company. Okay, think about it, because when we refer to this policy about attendance rate, right? If that student isn't having at least 80% attendance rate for all of the courses, they will be in the bar list and they cannot graduate, and they cannot be in the intern and they cannot have internship. So because of this, we need to include attendance rate in here first. Okay, we need to include the attendance rate, because if the attendance rate is too low, we cannot hire them and to work in the company. That's why we need to include them. Okay, maybe we want email, but for now, let us just assume we just want to know the potential students. We are not trying to contact them yet. Okay, so we have first name, last name, attendance rate, and CGPA. Okay, now we can run the code. Okay, now we will have all this information: first name, last name, attendance rate, and CGPA. Okay, these are all the information that we get. Okay, now when we are trying to look for other information, we can consider other things. Okay, we can consider other things. For example, S. Okay, for this particular part, it means, do we have other better names to represent them? Okay, do we have other better names to represent them? And this one, this is called concatenation symbol, or we can call them double pipe symbol. Do we want to combine fields together? Okay, do we want to combine fields together, and do we want to do any other things to change the value so that when we look at it, we can understand? Okay, now we go back here. Okay, think about it. Does this look appealing to us? Maybe for some of us, yes. But imagine you are trying to persuade your manager or your partner on deciding something. There's no way you are going to be writing in this kind of field name without proper reformatting. That is why we need to use the SQS here, okay, SQL here, so that we get better names to represent it. So now, the way we will do is that write S behind the field that we want to change, and then write the nicknames that we want to give it to that field. Okay. So let's say I don't want first name to be like this. I want capital letter. I want and the F to be in capital. Okay. I want and it to be in capital. Okay. Take note about the nicknames. We cannot have more than two words in the nickname. Okay. We cannot have first name separated together. The system will only register the first word. Okay. So if we want to have a name, we need to combine them together either by underscore, or we just combine them together into one single word. Okay. So let us for now just put underscore. so that we can just fix the format right here. For last name, same as well. I don't want L to be in small letter. I want it to be in capital letter. Okay, so that it looks nicer. Last name. And the next one, attendance rate. Okay, maybe we don't need to know we don't need to write the word rate because we already know it's the attendance rate anyways. So we can just write as attendance. And for CGPA, usually we write that in full capital. So we can reformat that as CGPA in capital. Okay. And then when we run it again, now when we run it again, okay, we can see the names are all changed. Attendance rate becomes attendance. CGPA becomes capital CGPA. Okay, good. Now we already make it looks nicer so that the customer so that we can understand. Okay, do we want to combine fields together? Okay, do we want to combine fields together? Now, when we are trying to look for somebody or when we are trying to understand somebody, do we write first name and last name separately? Or usually we call them in full name? Do we call them and just by their first name or last name, or do we call them by full name? Sometimes people call them by last name only, but for us in Malaysia, we usually call them by full name. So what we are going to do is that we are going to be combining them together using double pipe symbol. Okay, the double pipe symbol, this two straight line here. Okay, this two straight line here, double pipe symbol. Okay, we are going to use double pipe symbol and combine last name together. Okay, let's remove this nickname and see what happens. Okay, now as you can see, we have the first name and last name combined together already. Okay, it's called Sharai Rollinson and then Aline Stewart and then Al Bosworth. Okay, now there's an issue right here. After we combine them, some of us can't really read the names here already because they are all in one single word. So some of us might not be able to read it. And in this case, we can put another double pipe symbol in here, and then we put a space in between. By this way, we can now separate first name and last name, and so that we can read each name and properly. Okay, so let's run this again. Now, okay, good. Now we got the names that we want. Sharai Rollinson, Alice Stewart, Al Bosworth, Devin Patient. Okay, now this field name, we don't want that because this field name doesn't tell us anything important. So we need to give it a nickname. Okay, what do we call this? When we combine first name and last name together, we call this a name. Simple. We call this a name. So just put the name as the nickname. Run it. Okay, good. We got the name here, the attendance, and CGPA. Okay, now we got this particular. Now we got this whole list ready. Now, next one, we are going to try to input our operators. Now, think about it. Do we need to reformat the values? Look at these values. What are the fields that usually? What are the fields that you think we should change? Surely the name we can't change because they are all in words. Okay, and for CGPA, based on all our knowledge, the maximum CGPA is only 4.0, correct? So if the CGPA is 4.0, then it means we don't need to change anything because these are all in proper number already. Now look at attendance rate. Do we usually look at attendance rate by percentage or by numbers? Do we look at attendance rate by a percentage or by numbers? When we look at our attendance rate, right, we look at them by percentage, right? So what's the maximum number? It's 100%. And from here, all of them are 0.8626, 0.8907. So what does this tell us? We need to reformat. Only by reformatting them, we can understand what does this attendance mean. Because if you write 0.8626, it might mean you have 0.8626%. Not all people can straight away understand that this is in percentage. This is not in percentage, and then we need to convert by ourselves. So what we need to do is that we need to reformat them. Okay, how do we convert decimals into percentage? We multiply it by 100, correct? We multiply it by 100. So we can just multiply 100 and then we put bracket between them from here. Attendance rate times 100 in the bracket. And we write as attendance. when we run it again, okay, now we see some proper numbers already. 86.26, 89.07, and a lot of zeros and one. But it's okay. We just leave that for now. Okay. Our main purpose is to make sure we can understand the attendance. Now, how do we make it even easier to understand? We put the percentage sign behind these numbers. Okay. We put the percentage sign behind these numbers. So by using the double pipe symbol here, okay, the two straight lines here, behind the value that we got, right? Okay. This is the part where we got the number. We want to put the percentage sign behind the numbers. So we put the double pipes symbol behind it, and then we put percentage sign. Okay. Keep in mind, we need to put the quotation signs. Okay, because this is a character. This is not number. We need to put it like this. Okay. Double pipe sign and then percentage symbol, and then run. Good. Now it looks pretty nice. Okay. Now what you can see from this list, we know there's a student called Sharai Rollinson having the attendance of 86.26%, having a CGPA of 3.3435. Now, does it look a lot cleaner? Does it look a lot cleaner? It definitely looks a lot cleaner already, right? And by this, only then we can make sure, now we can only understand the information that we are trying to look for. So SQL is really good that we can reformat all these values in a way that we can understand. That's why we need to make sure we use it to the fullest. Okay. Now we got the name of the student, we got the attendance and the CGPA. Let us get into the next section. Okay. Now, after we already get the information that we want, we are going to be filtering. We are going to be looking for specific information that we want. Okay, because just now we have like hundreds or 200s of students. We don't want all of them. We don't want all of them. We might only want some of the information in there. So by this way, we need to add other keywords so that we can get the things that we want. And in here, after we select the data, two things that we need to consider. What? Okay, what categories to display? What criteria do we want to look for? Okay, what criteria to satisfy? And then the next one will be how. How do we display? How do we want to see them? Do you want to see them from the smallest to largest? Do you want to see them in ascending order? Do we want to see them in descending order? Okay, these are two other key, important things that we need to know when we are trying to get the information that we want. So let's look at the what first. What do we want to include or exclude? And these are all the keywords that we can use, as I showed it just now. And we can also use operators to get what we want or what we don't want. Okay, so now let's go back. Okay, let's go back and to Google Colab first. Okay, now we already got the attendance and CGPA. What attendance rate that the student has will not be in the bar list. Will not be in the bar list. Okay, will not be in the bar list. So I mentioned just now that the students has to be having at least 80% of the attendance rate. Okay, we want students that only have attendance of 80%. Okay, if you want to have that kind of student, we need to put a where clause. Okay, we need to put a where clause here, right here. Where and then what? Where the criteria. Okay, we need to put where. Okay, what do we want? We only want attendance rate above 80%. So attendance rate, okay, attendance rate, that's the column name, okay, and then we want them to be 80%. Okay, now we're going to be trying to write 80% straight away here, okay, because this is how we get the number, right? We write where attendance rate larger equal to 80%. Okay, so now let's run this. Okay, there is an error here. Okay, what's the issue? Okay, now when we look at here, there's an issue near the from, right here, right here. Okay, now the main issue here is that we cannot write 80%. Okay, why we cannot write 80%? Okay, let me get another code cell for you. Let's copy this whole thing again. Okay, let's write back the original one, attendance rate as attendance, and then remove this part. Okay. Okay. Look at the original value. What was the original value in the attendance rate field? It is 0.8626, 0.8907, correct? So when we are trying to filter the information that we want, we always refer back to the original value, okay? We always refer back to the original value. Okay, let me remove this first and let me show it again. Okay, we have the values here 80%, 86.26%. We don't write 86.26%. Okay, we don't write that. We write 0.8626. We always refer back to the original value. So keep in mind, we always refer back to the original value. So now we already know we want to write the original value. We put back the where clause, we put back the where keyword, and then we want attendance rate, right? We want attendance rate to be more than 80%. So we want to write larger or equal, okay? Then a larger or equal to 0.8, okay? 0.8. And now when we run it, oh, near the from. Okay. Now another issue that I missed out is that we should write we should write the where clause behind the from. We should write it behind the from. Okay. Keep in mind we need to write the where behind the from, which is stated in here. Okay. Now when we run this again. Yep. Okay. Now we got this list. Look at the whole list. Is there any student with attendance below 80%? Just from a quick look through, we can't see any numbers that start with 7. What it means is that we did the right thing here, okay? Where attendance rate has to be larger or equal to 0.8, okay? This is how we look for the criteria that we want, okay? Now, let's say if I want to have more than one criteria, we can use an, okay? We can use an operator, okay? And we can use or we can use not. So what we are going to do is that we want students with CGPA, maybe let's say the company wants only accept students above 3.5, okay? And CGPA larger or equal to 3.5. The internship company only wants students with CGPA larger or equal to 3.5, okay? Now let's run this. Okay, so we have another whole list of students with CGPA higher than 3.5. Okay, these are all the students. So we still have a lot of students in here. And the internship company might stop at here because we just want to know the general information, right? Or maybe the internship company wants to look for students from specific faculty. Okay, maybe this company is looking for students from the business faculty, maybe from medicine faculty, or maybe from the technology faculty. Okay, now if that's the case, let us combine more tables together. Why? Okay, now let us go back to the relationship A diagram. Okay, from here. So from here, we can see student having a course, right? You can see student has a course ID here. Now, we usually don't remember the course ID for each different courses. And we also don't remember the campus. We don't remember which ID refers to that campus. We don't remember. Usually only the student or the campus, or only the people in higher ups remember, like how we ourselves only remember our own student ID. We don't remember other people's student ID. So in this case, we need to get the course name here. We need to get the course name here. Okay, we need to get the course name here. This means that we need to combine. We need to get both tables in here. We need to get the student table, and then we need to get the course table, so that we can get the course name. If not, we cannot get the course name. Okay, so now we are going to be joining multiple tables together. Okay. Okay, this is where we are going to be joining. Now refer here, select which, from, join, and who. So we are going to write all the tables at the from section. Okay, now refer back here. We have our from here. How do we join tables? How do we get information from different tables? Okay, the way we do it is that from student, join, and then we write, the table name. The table name will be course. Okay, let's say we want to know the student's course. Join course. Okay, now when we run this, okay, so we have a long list of we have even longer list, which is pretty odd because we should have had this many students having different names or something. Okay, let us include more things here because we still don't know what's the issue right now. Okay, what do we want? We want the student's course ID. We want the student's course ID. Only then we will know which course they are from, right? So let us include course ID. Course. Okay, it's from the course table. Oh, sorry. Wait, it's in the student table. Okay, so we need to write student table and then we need to write course ID. If the field is from that table, we need to write student. Okay, it's the same as the first one and the last one. But for now, we will just put course ID in here. We will just put student in the course ID here. Okay, now we have student.course ID as course ID. And then course dot name so that we can get the course name. Okay, and then let's run this again. Let's look what do we have in the list. Oh wow. Okay, so what we did just now was that we are trying to get the course get the tables connected together, right? We are trying to get student and course together. Now we have this long list here. We have Joseto Gillard taking bachelor in software engineering, and then is taking bachelor in information security, and then is taking diploma in information technology. So there's definitely an issue here. Why? Because we are getting both tables, but we didn't tell the system that we only want the right one. Okay, we only want the right one. How do we make it right? We need to tell them that students and course, they are both related. When we didn't tell them when they are related, there must be a field that exists in both sides, right? Just now, like I mentioned in the relational database, there must be one field that exists in both sides. The course ID in the student table and the course ID in the course table. So we need to tell the system that we only want the information that has the right that matches together. We don't want the student course ID in here, but it doesn't match the course ID in the course table. We don't want that. The reason why they will have so many is that the system gives out all different combinations of information. Right? We have BI02 maybe taking software engineering, but then we didn't tell that it's related. So the system, knowing that there are like 10 to 12 courses, it will just list out 10 to 12 names. It will repeat all the courses here until we finish listing it. So we need to include on. We need to include on behind the course table, and we need to tell them they are related. When they are related, we use on. How are they related? Okay, how are they related? They are related using the course ID in here. Okay, they are related using the course ID. So we have on student course ID equals, okay, equals to the course dot course ID. This is how we tell the system that they are related. Understand? This is how we tell them that they are related. Now, let's run. Now it actually lists out properly already. We only have one call, or we only have one row of the same person, right? Refer here. We have Joseto Gillard taking BI02 course, which is Bachelor in Business Analytics, and we had the attendance and CGPA, right? This is how we get the information that we want. Okay. Now let us continue. to the last part before we get a short break. Okay. Now we want to look at the how section. Okay, this is pretty simple. It is just wanting to know the highest or the lowest. It's just that simple. So what do we want to know? We when we are looking for students and to work in our company, we always look at the students that have the highest CGPA, right? So what we need to do is that we just add the order by keyword. Okay, we add the order by keyword, and then we just tell them, oh, I want to arrange them by CGPA because I want to know the CGPA first. Okay, do we want to know them from the largest to the smallest, or do we want to know them from the smallest to the largest? We want to look at the largest first. By looking at the largest first, we need to tell them we want it to be in descending order. DESC, order by CGPA, DESC. We want that to be in the descending order. Okay. So, okay, look at this CGPA right now. 3.7892, 6171, 5864, 5362. Okay. And then we have 61 in the middle. So let's see what happens when we run this again. Okay, so we have, oh wow, we have 3.8593, 3.8574, 3.8493. Now they are in specific order. Okay, now they are in specific order. We can actually look at the students that have potential in here because they are now in the specific order. Okay, now let's say let's go back a bit on the company requirements. Maybe this company only wants to look for students that are taking culinary arts or they are taking software engineering or something. Okay, let us assume that they only want students from culinary arts, software engineering, and management mathematics with computing. These three roles. Okay, we only want these three courses. Let's say the company only want this. We can put another n clause here because it's a criteria, right? We can put another n here, and then we tell the system that we want the course ID. Sorry, we want the course ID. Okay, refer back. How do we write the course ID here? We write it like this. So we write the course ID like this as well. We want the student dot course ID to be in CA01, and we want it to be in IT01, and we want it to be in MM01. Okay, so we have these three information. Now the system doesn't accept equal sign, and then having three values behind that. It doesn't work that way. If you want to have multiple values, if you want to have a lot of values, we need to put in. In means it belongs to any of this or any of the values that we mentioned. So we need to put a bracket from left and right. Okay. By this way, the system will check if the student's course ID belongs to these three. If it's not CA01, check IT01. If it's not IT01, check NN01. And then it will check all these three, only then it will list it up. Okay. Now when we run this again, now we have all the students in here. Only culinary arts, software engineering, and management mathematics with that attendance rate and CGPA. Okay. This is how we filter and sort the information that we get so that we can then continue processing it. Okay. Now we are going to be entering a short break. Okay, we are going to be entering in a short break for around 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I believe. Okay, we will get back here at around 9:22. 9:22. Okay, we will get back here at 9:22. So we will be taking a short break now. If you want to go, if you want to go to the restroom, you can proceed. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the chat. Okay. All right, we are back. Okay, it's 9:22. So I'll be continuing the last section for the hands-on demo or for SQL. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to be entering the last section for coding SQL itself. Okay. This part will be data grouping and aggregation. What it means is that we are going to be combining a lot of information together and then make it into a summary. Make it into a summary. So from these tables here, from the boxes down here, you can see we already picked table C and table A, and then we had these colors in here. So how did it work? Okay, let's go back. Let's recall for a bit. At first, we are trying to get the information that we want. So we had, let's say we had three tables, table A and table B and table C, and we only want specific information. Maybe this column in table C and then this column in table A, but no columns in table B. So we are going to be picking these three columns, and then we display it. This is how we do select statement, and then afterwards, we are trying to filter the information that we don't want. So what happens when we filter the information is that we start to remove some of the records in here, like the first row in table A and then the last row in table C. So we filter out this, and then maybe we want to sort them. We want to rearrange them again. And this is where we get different colors for this column in table C. Okay, maybe we make it into ascending order or something, and then the others will remain the same. Okay, now when we are trying to group them together, we want to know three things again. The first one will be what are the fields that we want to group. Okay, which field to summarize, and review. What do we want to know? Okay, the next one will be grouped. What are the fields that we group them together? So maybe let's say we have like 10 rows of value A. We have 10 rows of value A. When we group value A together, the 10 rows of value A becomes one row. And that one row will be the information about the value A. The information about the value A, which is a summary. This is how group works. And then what group? This one is similar to filtering in that I mentioned just now, which is what kind of group do we want? Do we want all, or do we want like one or two or only? Okay, this is what we call it as what group. Okay, and to summarize these data, we have a lot of methods. Okay, these methods are all in mathematical function. Okay, and we have around six. Okay, let us go through it. The first one will be AVG, average value, and then the second one is minimum value. Third one is maximum value. The fourth one will be the count. From here, it means the number of rows. You want to count how many rows are there in this particular group. Okay, and then the next one will be sum, the total value of that has the same characteristic. So let's say you have 10 values of A, then when we combine that into one, it will add up all the values A together. This is what we call it as sum. And the last one, we don't really use it that often. These two will be standard deviation and variance. Usually we use them when we want to know how the data spreads out. Usually when we want to observe the distribution, only then we will use them, but we won't be touching in this today. Okay, we'll only be touching the other five. Okay, now take note, when we are trying to group this information, okay, the way we select the fields has to be logical. If it's not logical, the system cannot work it out, and it cannot write out the summary for us. Okay, you will understand and later on. And by this, now we can combine all the keywords that we have, and then we have this format. We want to select which group first, which one, or the fields that we want to review, the summary, and then we get it from specific tables, from join or who, and then do we have any criteria? If yes, where, what? Okay, and after we get the criteria, do we want what kind of what values do we want to group them together? Group by, grouped. what values do we want to group them together? This is where we put it in. And then this one, having what group? Having what group is like where, what, but for groups, for summary only. If we don't write group by, we won't have having. Okay? If group by doesn't exist, having won't exist. Both of them are connected together. You can write group by without having, but if you write having, you must have group by. Okay? Then the last one will be order by. How? This is how. This is what we call it as the arrangement, the sorting one. So if you want it to be in ascending order, we will have it in ascending order. Okay. Now, okay, we are going back to the Google Colab. Okay. Okay. Back to this one. We already have all this information, right? We have the students from these sections, and then they are from these three courses with at least CGPA of 3.5 and then attendance rate of 0.8. Now, let's say this company is trying to look for specific course, okay? On the, how to say, the company only wants to look at one specific course. They only want to know whether this course students, the students in this course performing well or they are not performing well. That's what the company wants to know. By doing that, we need to group all of them together. So what do we want to group? Remember, the internship company is trying to look for the students, okay, the students that belong to the same course. So when we want to group them by the same course, we group by course, course ID, because we want to make sure that all students in the same course, okay, all students in the same course are in one group. This is what we want. So we need to put group by course ID here, okay? And then now when we are trying to look at the groups, we don't really want to know the names anymore because we just want to have a general overview of that course rather than trying to know all students information. So we won't need names anymore, okay? We won't need names anymore. And then we want the course ID because only then we will know which course has what kind of statistic or information. Okay. And then do we need the course name? Yeah, we need the course name so that we know which course is this because they don't really remember course ID sometimes. For the attendance rate, okay, now when we group all of them together, we don't write the individual attendance rate anymore. We are trying to get a statistic or a summary of that attendance. So what we want to do is that we don't want this whole thing here. We only want, let's say we want the average attendance rate. We want to know the average attendance rate in this course. And then we also don't want the CGPA already because we are grouping in them by course, right? We need to make sure that the other values are all combined together as well. We want and those values to be in a summarized value. So instead of CGPA, we can pick one of the methods that we want. Okay, we can have average, minimum, maximum, count, summary, and so on. Maybe we want the minimum CGPA and maximum CGPA so that we roughly know how well they perform or how bad they perform. Okay, we want this minimum CGPA and maximum CGPA. And then we have the average attendance rate. Maybe we want to know how many students that fulfill this requirement. So we need to have the count method here. Okay, count tells us the number of rows. So maybe we can say count the number of student ID, maybe because maybe student ID because each student ID is unique. So we can definitely count how many student IDs are there. Okay, so we have the course ID, course name, number of students, okay, number of students, the average attendance rate, CGPA, and minimum CGPA, and maximum CGPA. So let's run this. Okay, now we got a lot shorter list. It's already summarized right now, okay? Now, let us look at this summary. We have the course ID, the course name, okay? And then we have the count of students, the number of students. So we have five students, and 9 students in these courses. And then we have the average attendance rate. Okay, we have the average attendance rate, and then the minimum CGPA, maximum CGPA. Okay, now we want to reformat them like how we did in the select statement section, so that we can make sure we can make it easier to understand. Okay, now for count student.student ID, we don't really understand, and unless the person who's looking at it is a programmer. So we want to make sure the clients or the staff in the company understand we need to set the nicknames as well. So for this field, we have the number of students. Number of students. Okay, we have number of students. And then for the average attendance rate, let's just put average attendance. Attendance. Average attendance. And then for the minimum CGPA, we can just write it. Minimum CGPA. Okay, it's too long, so oh my god, it's too long. So let me break it up. Okay, so we continue at the second row. Mean CGPA as minimum CGPA, max CGPA as maximum CGPA. Now, by writing this, we will then reformat everything. Okay, reformat everything so that we can understand. Now, for the average attendance rate, we want to see in percentage form. So now we can try to multiply this by 100. We do the same thing that we did just now. Multiply by 100. We get the average first, and then we multiply by 100. And then we put the double pipe symbol, put a percentage behind that so that we can get at the format that we want. Okay, now this is what we have. So we have 3 courses, okay, because maybe the internship company wants to look at these 3 courses only, okay, and then we have diploma in culinary arts. The number of students that fulfill the company's requirement is 5, okay. The number of students that fulfill the requirement is 5. Next one, the average attendance, it's 85.712%. 85.712%. The minimum CGPA is 3.74. The maximum CGPA is 3.85. The second one is Bachelor in Software Engineering, same thing, 5 students, 91%, minimum 3.59, maximum 3.85. And then the last one, number of students, 9, 86.47%, and for the average attendance, minimum CGPA 3.511, maximum CGPA 3.8493. Okay, this is the summarized information that we got from the whole long list that we did just now. By doing SQL commands, we can get this information already. Now, as the internship company, when we are giving this form of report to the HR manager, now we can tell, now we as the HR manager, we can then decide which course, which students in the course that we can focus on. Okay, now everyone, I want you to give me some feedback based on your opinion. Okay, after looking at these numbers, the average attendance, the minimum CGPA, maximum CGPA, who do you think or which course do you think the internship company should focus on and why? Who do you think, which course do you think they want to focus on? If they want to hire students to work as an intern in their company. If you're the HR manager, which one would you pick? Okay. Okay, software engineering. Anyone else? We have 3 courses here: culinary arts, software engineering, and management mathematics. Which one, if you as the HR manager, will pick if you want to focus on like a specific course to hire students to be your intern in the company? Okay, we have software engineering for now. Okay, let us look at software engineering. Okay, let's see why. Okay, when we look at software engineering, we have 5 students. The average attendance is 91.37%. Okay, and then we have minimum CGPA of 3.59, the maximum CGPA of 3.8574. Okay, when we look at these values, some of the people might say the minimum CGPA is too low, is 3.5985. That's why they might not pick software engineering. Okay, I my assumption, okay, my guess is that Celine, you pick software engineering because they have similar high potential when it comes to maximum CGPA for 3.8574. And then although their minimum CGPA is really low here for 3.6, but it still fulfills the requirement. Now the average attendance is the highest among all 3 courses, above 90%. And that's what, and you think in the attendance is quite important in here. That's why you pick software engineering. Is that correct? Okay. If you are trying to determine the actions on which course you should focus on, usually you want to look at all the important values. So yes, Cindy, you believe that average attendance is really important in this case. Okay. Now this is valid if the company really prioritize the attendance rate of all students. Okay, this is acceptable. If let's say the internship company is now not focusing average attendance rate that much. Okay, if it's not focusing average attendance that much, I believe they will want to focus on diploma in culinary arts. Okay, because they have relatively still consider high average attendance because it's not like exactly 80%. And then it's the CGPA of all students in this course have like around 3.74 and 3.85, which is why some of the internship companies will pick diploma in culinary arts to focus on. But we might see companies want to pick bachelor in management mathematics with computing because they have more students. So although they have low minimum CGPA of 3.5, there are more students in this course. So the company might see more students that have the potential to be to work as an intern in their company. This is why when we are trying to when we are using SQL, it is important for us to include data analytics in here so that we ourselves, by understanding what the company wants, we can then try to look for the course that suits the internship company the most. Okay, when it focuses on average attendance, then the internship company will pick software engineering. If the internship company is trying to focus on the maximum CGPA, and then it will pick the diploma in the course for diploma in culinary arts. If the internship company is trying to look for more students, okay, they focus on the number of students, then they might pick bachelor in management mathematics. This is why when we are using SQL, with our own knowledge, with what we are trying to look for, we can then decide which course or which goal we should focus on, and only then we can take action and pay full focus onto the target so that we can achieve our requirement. This is how we use data, and then by using SQL to get the information, and with this information we can then use our own knowledge and apply this knowledge to know what action should we take or what decision should we make as the person in that business. Understand? Okay. Now we will summarize a bit. Okay, I'll summarize for you from the beginning into the last one. Okay, now let's go back right here. We have we covered, okay, from the beginning we covered data, information, and knowledge. And data, they are all connectionless, and they are not variable, so we need to process it furthermore. After processing it, we get the information that we want. So these are all facts, and only by combining them into knowledge, we can get the important insights that we want so that we can make decisions or we can take actions. This is how data becomes knowledge. We also understand that SQL have these 5 operations, okay? And these 5 operations allows us to perform a lot of queries such as the select statement, including the where clause and order by clause, so that we can filter the data and we can rearrange the data, and then we can then group them together, combine them together to get the information that we want. Okay, and this is how, by combining all of this knowledge that we have in SQL, we can and now decide what actions do we need to take as the internship company. Okay, now before we end our whole session, let me talk about why we should take SQL after knowing so much about SQL. SQL has 5 main pros, and the first one will be data accessibility and ease of collaboration. What it means is that when we are trying to access information or we are trying to get information, SQL makes it a lot easier because we can share our information to other people, and it takes a shorter time and to access this information. Maybe some of you might ask, why not Excel? Okay, Excel has a bit of issue in here. Excel doesn't store that much data. When we are using SQL, we might store hundreds of thousands or millions of data. We might store up to millions of data. So and Excel doesn't store that many data. They cannot store that much. I think at most 100,000 or something, and they cannot store all anymore. And SQL is specifically designed to store data and to run any data queries that we want. So by using SQL, it makes it easier for us to access data. And because we can share it to other partners, we can share it to other partners and let them and look their information from their side. It makes it easier to collaborate together. SQL itself also has security features. Like I mentioned just now, we have 2 security features, data control and transaction control. Data control allows you to restrict the information that your partners can look at, which is why it has the data security. And for data integrity, it's because SQL is used in the relational database. What it means is that the information in your tables must make sense before you change anything. So if it doesn't make sense, SQL doesn't let you change anything in that, which is why the data in SQL is usually secure and it is usually trustworthy. And the next one will be user-friendly. Okay, some of you might think SQL is pretty hard to catch up because it's a programming language, but among all programming languages, it's the easiest one to learn because the keywords that they use are all pretty user-friendly. It's not something that doesn't make sense or something really hard to understand. Select, we have not, in, or, where, order by, group by, having. These keywords are all pretty common and are used really often in our daily lives, which is why it is user-friendly for us to learn. The next one will be data analytics and business intelligence. As I mentioned before, SQL users include data analysts and business analysts because they need to use SQL to interpret the information in the database so that they can decide what the company should do next. Like what we did just now, in the Google Colab, we use SQL to get a summary so that we can decide what does the company should focus on for getting students into their internships. The last one will be application development, where if you're trying to set up any applications or you're trying to set up a website, keep in mind that your customer or the user will always want to save data somewhere else because not all of us won't remember everything inside our brain. we definitely will get forgetful sometimes, and we won't remember like or maybe some of the information in there. So having in SQL and database to store this data inside applications and like Facebook, Instagram, maybe games, websites like Firefox, Chrome, helps the users to make their lives a lot easier, and it's more convenient, which is why SQLs are used in application development. Okay, now this is the end of our session. Now we're going to be entering Q&A sessions. If you have any other questions that you want to ask, you can ask me in the chat right now. Any questions? If no questions, you guys can say no. No? Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? All right, so no questions, okay? Now we are going to be entering our photo session as I mentioned just now. So I want all of you to open your video or call to open your video for just a few minutes, okay? And then we will just take a simple screenshot for it. Yeah. We will just take a simple screenshot for it. That's all. How to watch back the replay? I'll include the recording inside the site that you registered. Yeah, I'll include the recording inside the registration site later on, and then you can just watch back there and to watch the replay. How to open the camera? I think opening the camera, I think you guys need to request for being a presenter. I believe. Hold on. Let me allow you guys to be a presenter. Yeah. Yeah, I think now you guys should be able to open your video. How is it? Can you guys open the video? Yeah, okay. Don't be shy, don't be shy. Just open the video. It's fine, it's fine. How about the other two, Ginger and Adam? Don't be shy. You guys are handsome and beautiful. Just open your camera. It's fine, it's fine. I already opened my camera for so long. Come on, just open for once. Like a few minutes will do. A few minutes will do. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Now you should be able to open your camera. Yeah. See, another handsome guy opened his camera already. Come on, the other two. Okay, all right, it's okay. Okay, now I want you guys to do these two less than the right than brackets right here, and I'll take a screenshot of it. Okay. Eugene. Good. That's the way to go. Samsung, can you help me screenshot for it? Not functioning. Okay. Next time. Okay. All right, guys. Well,
Wait a second. Let me change the gallery.
Yeah, why you like that?
Okay,
Okay.
one,
Okay, guys, right?
three, two, one. Okay, done.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now let me go through the last section before we end our event, yeah? Okay. Okay, if you guys are interested in today's event and you guys wanted to know more about us, we have two QR codes here. The first one would be GDSC for Tayo MD, which will bring you to the website somewhere else. I'll show you guys later on. And then the second one will be our Instagram page. You can scan the QR code and follow us to know more about the future incoming events. Our plan now is that we are going to be having maybe an event and like for every month. So please stay tuned. I will be all of us will be pretty excited to see you there. Okay. And for the first thing, right? Okay. Let me show you. Okay. You guys can screenshot it first if you don't have the time to follow us. Okay, it's okay. Now I'll show you what you will see after that. Uh, for the first link for GDSC Tayo MD, you will see you will be entering this particular website. Okay, this website here. This is where you can join us and be a member. So when we have any new events coming out, you guys can and you guys will be notified and you guys can check on it. And as you can see here, this is the event that we are having right now, and these are the past events and that we have. Okay. Now, if you want to check the recording, right? Okay, just click in the view details. Okay, you can enter back this session. This is where you click the RS. This is where you register yourself into this event, and you can. There should be something down here for you to check the recording. Okay, let me show you an example. Okay, like let's say for our previous event, you'll be able to see something like this. So I'll be saving down the recording and I'll post it right here, and you can refer it afterwards. Okay. I believe the recording will be out in like around 1 or 2 days. So you guys can check it out again after like a day or two. Okay. All right. Now that's all for the event today. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you joining me to know about data and SQL, and I'll see all of you maybe in the next event. Right? Bye bye. Have a good night. Bye bye. I no, you're welcome. You're welcome.